Apparently there's some internet issues here. Let me real quick. Huh? Whoop.
Well, then I guess there's only one thing left to do.
What's that?
Win the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's a 101-yard return, tying the long.
This hat's fine and dandy. This hat and shirt's fine and dandy. But I'm the one that says Super Bowl champs. Right?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Air Raid Hour. I'm going to switch myself over to the normal sides. I was having some modem issues. I don't know if you guys heard that. I was like, are we live? Are we live? But I switched over to Wi-Fi, so hopefully my Wi-Fi won't give you as much issues as my modem was. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Air Raid Hour presented by the Buffalo Fanatics. My name is Steve Mathis. You can find me on Twitter at Judge Mathis. And I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Dave Tilton. You can find him on Twitter at Tilt Money. And together, we are the Bills guys. And Dave, we are one win away from the Super Bowl. I almost feel like I'm living a Madden simulation right now because I've never experienced this really. Because I was 3 years old the last time this happened. I've never experienced this outside of video games. So this is I'm living in a simulation right now, I feel like. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, look, I was too young to really remember vividly those times, right? I remember like images more than I remember actual, events and things actually happening, right? Like I remember images of being in like my friends' houses and of like Bills like snapshots in my head, but this is really it. I mean, for me, as far as like real memories. And so I'm with you here. Like the Madden simulation comparison's funny because, you always end up in Madden taking the Bills all the way, right? And that's kind of how it goes. Yeah. So that's kind of how I feel. And I'm sure a lot of people are feeling that way too tonight. So let me give a quick shout to some of the people who are in the house tonight. So we've got Matthew Montgomery in the house, Ben Shepard. I saw Ryan
Dave there, or did we lose me?
I think I'm still here. I think you're frozen there, Steve. So I'll just keep going.
Am I out? Am I back in?
I can hear you, but your video is not there.
What the heck is going on here?
We've got Omble Rob is in. We've got Father Snowman. We've got Ryan Teal. We've got Thomas Burke. We've got Rick Rarick. We've got Richard Rush, Chris Janke. Corey Buffalo is back with us. We've got Hey, I'm solo now here for a little bit. Omble Rob, I mentioned. Who else did I miss? Rashid Turner's in. Joe, the buttery voice, Miller, is in the house. So thanks, Joe, for joining us tonight. Stephen Campione in the house. Got a super chat coming in early. You think we're beating the Chiefs and going to the Super Bowl? Wow, coming in hot early, and we are going to talk about that a little bit probably at the end. Thursday is going to be our real preview show for the Chiefs game. Today we're going to do most of the show recapping Bills Ravens and talking about some of the individual performances, team performances, things like that. So we are going to be talking about that. So while Steve is figuring out his internet situation, I'm going to bring up a couple. Oh, he's coming back, so maybe I'll just give him a second. There he is.
There's literally nothing wrong with my internet, but it just stops working. Like full connectivity on my Wi-Fi, plugged into the modem. I have no idea what's going on.
Well, you're crisp now. So
all right.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the end of it. So I do apologize. So it seems like you introduced everyone who's in the house tonight. So I do apologize.
And Brian Bowers, last but not least, with coming
Yeah.
in and telling everyone to smash those likes, smash them. Let's go. Let's get our likes up tonight. There's a lot of stuff going on tonight. So we know that you have choices and we appreciate you joining us to spend your evening and talking about this Bills-Ravens game. So Joe Miller says, need to be hardwired on the StreamYard page.
I am hardwired. I don't know what you're talking about.
He's wired. I know
I'm not
that.
Joe Miller wired, but I'm hardwired. I am straight into the modem, so I don't know what the issue was. But
and Randy Hardman came in. It's cool. Don't mind me. I'm sorry, Randy. I'm sorry. I've got a lot of things to get through, and I miss you, so I apologize. But we do appreciate everyone tuning in tonight because we know there's a lot going to be a lot of coverage this week of the Bills, and that's what's great about Bills Mafia and Bills content creation is you have options. But we really appreciate you joining us tonight.
All right, let's get right into it because I know what the people are here for. I know what the people want and what they expect from us tonight, and that's a little bit of Creed action. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the show off with just a Take Me Higher montage, and I'm going to walk through some players for you real quick. And I'm going to ask you one simple question. I'm going to start with Taron Johnson. Did Taron Johnson take us higher?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Taron Johnson, I'm sitting there at 6:00, and as he gets closer to the end zone, I'm going straight to midnight. And I think all of you know what that means. So he was taking me higher in more ways than one. I don't know if that's appropriate for Creed, but you know what? That's what it was. I mean, honestly, was one of those just game-altering, game-changing plays that you dream of happening in situations and in games like these, and couldn't have come at a bigger time. And honestly, you could make the argument that his previous pick six against the Steelers was the second biggest play of the season for this team and kind of sealing up that 2 seed. So Taron Johnson, man, congratulations, because you know what? You took a lot of punishment at the beginning of the season from myself included, right? And I think a lot of people, I mean, if they're willing to admit that they were wrong, which, sometimes people are not, he struggled in the early parts of the season. So I love the redemption story for Taron Johnson in the second half of the season. He took me higher.
Yeah, and he was on with Lauren O'Kim O'Kime of Fox Sports, and she said, she's like, what was going on in your mind when you were racing down that football field? And he said that there was 2 people with him when he was running down that football field: Trey White leading the way blocking, and his mother, who died at 9 years old of cancer. So I don't know about you, but I was like tearing up a little bit when I saw that on Twitter. I was like, oh, I'm gonna choke back the tears a little bit. So great on Taron Johnson. Not only did he have that huge pick six, but kudos to Joe Miller, who is in the chat. He said this game was going to be decided by a turnover. Kudos to Eric, who was on our show on Thursday. Kudos to Clay, who said on the pregame that Taron Johnson, I think we said as well, but you know what? We'll give the credit to other people. It's not a big deal. That Taron Johnson was going to be one of the keys to this game. And sure enough, he had himself a heck of a ball game. And it wasn't just the pick six. I remember a play down on the goal line. I believe it was in the third quarter. It might have been the first half, where Lamar hit J.K. Dobbins on like a running back dump off, or it might have been an option play. And Taron Johnson he was right there and just took Dobbins out. And the number of times the Buffalo Bills got players into the backfield and stopped the Baltimore Ravens before they ever got started was outstanding. I was not expecting it. Kudos to the entire defensive line, but we will get to that. Before we do, Truth to Hearts coming in says, are you guys going to save the Nick Wright bet? Don't you worry. Thursday, we will have the video. We will have that video on Thursday, Truth to Hearts. So don't you worry. We will have you covered here on the Bills, guys. But up next, I have a question for you, and that's Leslie Frazier. Did Leslie Frazier take us higher? And Ryan Teal coming in saying he's watched that pick 70 times and counting.
That's it.
I'll tell you,
That's
it is the #1 trending video on Pornhub, as I said on Twitter.
You got a lot of that. That was a pretty gold tweet you put out there from our Bills guys account.
set to Celine Dion as well. Someone did. I think someone needs to set it to Can't Touch This. That would be another good one as well. That might be something we might need to think of. But Leslie Frazier, did he take us higher? I think he took us higher.
I mean, he definitely did. And I talked about this on the pregame show about what we needed to do with that defensive line. And it did come to fruition on several plays that I saw where that Justin Zimmer play is a perfect example where you see the line just create a wall, right? They didn't get overly aggressive. They didn't get overly committed to gaps and getting past Lamar Jackson when it came to pass rush or when it came to penetration into the backfield. They kind of built a wall, like a horizontal wall, like, 1-2 yards into the line of scrimmage to keep him sort of in front of him. And then that comes with coaching. And that's Leslie Frazier making sure those guys were set up for success and making sure that they kept just this barrier around Lamar Jackson, because the second you get past him, but he's gone. He's in front of you. He's up in those lanes. And so that, to me, coaching wise, was such a massive benefit to the Bills' defensive line. And Leslie Frazier deserves all the credit for that, because honestly, game planning wise, like, now this is 2 times, right, that we've played this Ravens team and we've kind of shut down Lamar Jackson in the running game, and really overall shut down the running game of that team. So yeah, Milano called it, Randy. He said we're confident we can contain Lamar Jackson, and they did. Regardless of when he went out with the injury, they had contained him to that point, and everyone on that defensive line did a great job. Trent Murphy included, Justin Zimmer, all these guys, but it starts with Leslie Frazier, and he definitely took us higher.
Yeah, I mean, so what Matt says here, imagine traveling to Buffalo to score 3 points. I said before the game, before pregame show, I said, listen, straight up, the Baltimore Ravens offensive line is better than our defensive line. Like, on paper and in execution all season, they have been better. And the only way the Buffalo Bills are going to have a shot in this football game is if those players looked at themselves in the mirror before the game and came out there and had the game of the season, because that defense runs very hot and cold. Like, they've had some really good games this year against teams like San Francisco, but for the most part, that defensive line has gotten pushed around because they're not the biggest guys in the world. But this week they finally channeled the fact that they were smaller and speedier and used it to their advantage. Like you said, they were sending a lot of to make Lamar have to act quickly. The edges were set by guys like Jerry Hughes, Trent Murphy, Justin Zimmer. Like, they were making sure that Lamar Jackson could not get out of that pocket. He couldn't get past the line of scrimmage. They just absolutely executed a perfect game plan. They dropped people back into zone. They used base 43 with AJ Klein. And they said, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us as a quarterback. And it's easy to say. It's easy to say before the game starts, oh, we're going to make Lamar be a quarterback. But to actually come up with a game plan and execute it, that's a whole nother story. And the Buffalo Bills took what everybody knew, that you can beat Lamar if he's a quarterback, and actually found a way to do it and then executed it. So kudos to Leslie Frazier and kudos to the players on that defense for figuring it out. Because it was that game was a chef's kiss right there. I mean, it was absolute perfection.
And you said it, and Collinsworth even said it too, right? The Bills are a speed defense. They're not a power defense, and they were doing things that fit their strengths in order to slow down that running game, shooting the gaps, staying disciplined, not getting overly aggressive, and that ultimately, was the difference in kind of slowing down that running game. So again, kudos to Leslie Frazier. Amazing job.
Yeah, we got there's someone. Oh, the Sabres just scored. That's good. Have the Sabres game on in the background here, but somebody says CR comes in and says, yes, all the morning shows talk about how Lamar lost the game. Not a word about how the Bills. That's fine. McDermott uses that for motivation. That ticked me off. I'll tell you what, because that was one of my biggest takeaways from this game. I should have been surprised, but I wasn't. I woke up Sunday morning and every single person on every single station oddly enough, except for Nick Wright, who just owned the loss, every single person except for Nick Wright was
sort of. He sort of.
Yeah, he sort of did. Lamar was hurt. Lamar Lamar couldn't pass the football, blah, 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 blah. Like all of these different things. And it's like, just give the Buffalo Bills some credit. Like Teron Johnson is slowly becoming one of the best nickel corners in the league. Trey White is one of the best corners in the league. Jerry Hughes had himself one of the games of his life, and he's already a very good analytically, a very good edge player. Just that whole defense in general it's a good defense. It's had a bad year. So I'm sick and tired of this narrative of it. When people come to Buffalo and have a bad game, it's because they suck. Or it's because they had a bad game. The Bills won because they had a bad game. You know what people would be saying if that was Kansas City versus Baltimore? That's this tough. And they were saying it after Patrick Mahomes got hurt and left the game. That gritty Kansas City defense. They stepped up when they needed to. They won the game. They're a complete football team. This is what Super Bowl champions do. Like, that's the conversation if Kansas City does it, or if the Packers do it, or if the Saints do it. But when the Bills do it, it's, Lamar lost the game. Phillip Rivers lost the game. Like, come on, give me a break. Any other logo on that helmet, and they're not having that conversation.
They're not. And this, continuing on the Leslie Frazier, can you take me higher? Ryan says he wants that Texans job, I guess. And it sounds like he's in consideration for it. I will tell you this, that I wouldn't want that job if I was Leslie Frazier. But you know what? He's if he wants it, power to him. It's hard to get a head coaching job. I get it. And if you have the strike while the iron's hot, more power to him.
And I want to say this without it sounding like a criticism of Leslie Frazier, but 3 strikes and you're out, and Leslie Frazier already has 2 strikes against him. He's old, like he's 60 plus, and he's a defensive minded coach. So nowadays, what is everyone looking for? For the most part, they're looking for offensive minded coaches for the most part. And what's the second thing they're looking for? They're looking for the Sean McVay, the 30 something, the 40 something, a guy they can envision being there for 10, 15, 20 years. So when you're 60 plus and you're a defensive minded coach, you've already got 2 strikes against you.
He has 2.5 too, because he's already been a head coach.
Yeah.
And so we've seen already a little bit of it.
Yeah. And so there's not, so he's got, 2.5 strikes against him almost. So I think Brian Dable wanted that LA job. I mean, who wouldn't want that LA job? It's Justin Herbert. It's Keenan Allen. It's a lot of really good players on that defense, a GM and Tom Telesco that he knew, but Tom Telesco interviewed Brandon Staley, fell in love with Brandon Staley. And thank God, because if he hadn't interviewed Brandon Staley and fallen in love with Brandon Staley, Brian Dable will be the coach of the LA Chargers by the end of this playoffs. So it's almost a good thing the Bills kept winning, because it probably cost Brian Dable a job. And now from what I've heard, he's not interested in Philly. He's not interested in Houston. Brian Dable can pick and choose where he wants to go. Leslie Frazier, unfortunately, cannot. If he wants a second chance to be a head coach, he's got to go. He's got to go wherever offers him. And if Houston Texans are like, we're a tire fire, come help us, Leslie, bring some of that McDermott culture with you and settle the ship, he might just have to take it unless he wants to spend the rest of his career as a defensive coordinator. Because I can't picture him being, no offense to Leslie Frazier, I can't picture him being offered very many jobs.
No, I mean, I agree. Just a very quick sidebar. I have not really been impressed with the head coaching hires this cycle, honestly. Like Saleh seems like the Jets are sitting there looking around like, did we just make the best hire of all these teams? Like, that's just the weird thing. Like, Dan Brown coming in, as much as I want to win the whole effing thing, which I think we will, this year was a real success. Buffalo has gotten rid of the same old Bills mantra, and we have set the bar to a championship level. And Dan, that's a great point, because you're right. No, it's okay. Whatever kind of happens now, I think the bar has been elevated, right? The expectation now is no longer sneak into the playoffs or just get in with Josh Allen at the helm. It's going to be kind of extreme or high expectations now every year. Now we'll see how this whole thing plays out, but I kind of agree with Dan. The bar now has been raised, which is exactly what you want to do, right? You want to be an organization that's looked at as a team, as an organization that is a contender every single year. And obviously that typically starts and ends with the quarterback position and the head coach. And it seems like we've got that combination down. I think there's another super chat.
We got Brooke coming in. She's saying, and then analysts get pissed and annoyed when Bills Mafia calls them out for it. I think she's talking a little bit about Kurt Warner there. I think Brooke is mentioning Kurt Warner.
Oh, Kurt Warner, such a bad take.
Okay. So apparently the take wasn't about the Bills-Ravens game, which it was in the middle of the Bills-Ravens segment. There was like Bills-Ravens like video footage being montaged with his take. I know where Kurt Warner's coming from because he'd probably have 0 Super Bowls if he ever had to play outside. He had a great career in Arizona. He had a great career in St. Louis playing in a dome. And I don't think very many people remember the fact that he played for the New York Giants. So
he was there. He was there as the starter before Eli.
Yeah. So he was not happy with Bills Mafia calling him out, but like, dude, that was a really bad take. A really, really, really bad take. For those of you who didn't see it, Kurt Warner pretty much said that football should no longer be played outside because it's not fair. The best teams don't win unless you're playing inside.
In playoff games, he mentioned specifically, I think.
Specifically, but weeks 14 through 17 or 13 through 17, when it's snowing, teams go in and out of the playoffs based on like some of those games. So the best team could miss the playoffs theoretically if they have to play in some adverse conditions. But we got Brandon Scrow coming in the Super Chat 499. Brandon, we appreciate it. Leave a comment next time, man. Don't be shy. We are more than happy to read it on the air. But it's that's another one too. Ombre Lob. Speaking about game plans, if we were playing inside, we would have blown up the Ravens by 35. That was Wink Martindale's game plan, right? By the way, that was Wink Martindale's game plan. It was make sure the first level's covered for the dump offs, make sure the intermediate's covered, and give Josh Allen everything he wants deep. Because you saw that pass to Stephon Diggs that sailed over his head. Almost like, and I'm really surprised too, because usually people would be like, "Oh, Josh Allen, nice deep ball, what great accuracy," like sarcastically. But most people were like, "Yeah, that win was fucking brutal."
Oh, it happened to Huntley too, right?
Mm-hmm.
To Marquise Brown.
So he was literally using, the wind as a 12th defender, and the Buffalo Bills offense, going back to the whole if this was Kansas City type of deal, they stepped up, and the defense stepped up and came to our offense's back and allowed the offense to only have like 2 good drives the entire game. And that was still enough for us to win it. So, super interesting there. Not to mention pregame show. We talked a ton about this. Kudos to Josh Allen, because even though he didn't have the greatest game in the world, you want to know how we have a legitimate quarterback, going back to that comment about how we want to be good for a long time that Dan Brown made. You know how I know we have a quarterback who's going to be good for a long time? Wink Martindale and the Baltimore Ravens, who run the same damn defense every week and never change up their strategy. What did they not do against Josh Allen? They didn't blitz him. That team dropped back. They dropped everybody back because they were so afraid of what Josh Allen would do to them if they blitzed. Their game plan was legitimately dictated on Josh Allen and how afraid they were of Josh Allen. And go back to the 2 Patriots games this year. Bill Belichick, the greatest mind in the history of football. Last year it was, we're going to stack the box and we're going to make Josh Allen be a quarterback. And this year we're going to drop everybody back in his zone because we're so fucking scared of what Josh Allen can do when he throws a football. So you have some of the best defensive minds in the league who are just like scared shitless of this dude and are literally changing the way they operate and the things that they do to combat our quarterback. That's how you know Josh Allen is a franchise quarterback.
I agree. And I want to say something quickly about that, but Rashid coming in with a little bit of a hot take here, saying never thought Kurt was a Hall of Famer. We got some good comments going on in the comment section about this. Joe Miller had mentioned, he's largely a Hall of Famer because of his story, and he obviously got the Super Bowl ring, but the story maybe is a factor into that as well. I mean, I don't really have a strong opinion one way or another. I do think that, it's close, right? I think that, you can make an argument either way, but that's not for tonight. On Josh Allen, the other reason, and Pat and I talked about this today, was that he's business, right? At the end of the game, you could tell he's not like jumping up and down like not like he's never been there before, but he's not jumping up and down being just so content with winning that game. He's on to the next, man. Like he's ready to handle unfinished business still.
But he's not more of a leader than Baker Mayfield. We can all agree, right?
Well, not according to Skip Bayless, but
he was like, he's doing it for clicks, so I'm trying my best to ignore these things now. But he literally was like making all these points on First Take this morning. He's like, Josh Allen's accuracy is, or Baker Mayfield has better, like he's more accurate and he's a better leader and this and that. And I'm like, excuse me, like Josh Allen is better at all the things you just said Baker Mayfield is better at. And then he's like, well, it's not Baker Mayfield's fault that they couldn't beat the Chiefs because they ran the ball, they got the ball back and they ran it. And then they all out blitzed him and he had to throw it away and then he had to dump it off to the running back. He didn't have a chance. That's why Josh Allen is better than Baker Mayfield, because if the Kansas City Chiefs are all out blitzing Josh Allen, he's not wasting those downs by throwing it away and dumping the ball off. He's evading the rush because he's better in the pocket. He's a better athlete. He's getting out of the pocket and he's making a damn play down the field. He's not dumping it off. So, you know, a lot, that just upset me. It upset me a lot. We got a couple of super chats in here, so I do apologize. I was ranting a little bit on Skip.
That's okay. Rashid said Trent Dilfer has a Super Bowl ring, not a Hall of Famer. That's true. So does Brad Johnson. Couple quarterbacks like that. And then
Rob Johnson has a Super Bowl ring.
Oh my God. Yeah. Brian says, I called Kurt Warner out on his lame take, basically sounding like he's making excuses. I think he's talking about the outdoor stuff, and he responded excuses for what? LMA. Yeah. I mean, look. Yeah, like it was a bad take, and even the guys on set were like cringing kind of at what he was saying. So if you know, like the other guys on set are cringing.
Michael Irvin takes a break from his cocaine to look up at you and go, "What? You know, you got a problem." What did he just say? Something like you got a problem. God. Sorry, that might have been inappropriate. Anyway, Amber Lab made a comment in the comment section earlier where he said Bill Belichick said he didn't buy the Josh Allen MVP hype. And a funny story about that, I was talking to a couple of people and they said that they think that Bill Belichick criticized Josh Allen on purpose, because you could tell the way that he game planned against Josh Allen that he respects Josh Allen. But those comments post-game were meant to, or pre-game were meant to get to Josh Allen, because he wanted Josh Allen to get over aggressive to try to prove himself and to make riskier throws to try to prove himself and to get himself in trouble. So Bill Belichick was so afraid of Josh Allen that he was trying to play head games on him before the game even started. So that was
the only chance he had.
Yeah.
Truth to Heart says super chat here says, I'll give Skip a pass only because he was kind of in our corner last year. Skip is just a fanatic with a big platform. He's just loyal to his team and guys. Yeah, I mean, to an extent, I guess that's true. But like, you can't throw out like statistics like 64% completion percentage and say that Baker Mayfield's more accurate than Josh Allen when statistically, like, does not prove that. Worst Hall of Fame class, him and Terrell Davis.
Super Bowl sell.
Yep, they do. They do. And that's why, Eli Manning's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, not that he necessarily wouldn't be anyway, but the 2 Super Bowls are certainly helping his story out there. Anyway.
Speaking of Super Bowls, there's one guy I know who wants to go to the Super Bowl, and that's Jerry Hughes, because we had a question for him before the game started. And he most certainly took us higher. Talk about Jerry Hughes and that football game that he had.
Jerry Hughes, he's a very interesting figure when it comes to like Bills media and, Bills social media, Bills fans, because there's a faction of people who really don't think Jerry Hughes is worth the money we're paying him in the starting spot he has on this team. And then there are people who like look at, the analytics and then look at some of the plays he makes and understand that pressures and these things that matter into how a quarterback plays. Like, actually, he's really quite good and he really is quite consistent. And that's the key for me. Consistency for Jerry Hughes is the name of the game. He doesn't have these stretches where he disappears and then comes back. Like, he's a very consistent player. He's a very good player. He had the 2 sacks. He had the big sack deep in Baltimore when Baltimore was in their own territory on early downs. It set him behind the chains. He just has been making, and honestly, he's been better in the second half of the season than he was in the first half. So we all know about the touchdown he had against Denver. We know about the sacks, but the guy just is like a model of consistency. And it's nice to have a guy that you can put at the end of the line, at least one end, and not have to worry about it, right? Like, he's going to be there. He's going to make the right plays. He's a smart player. He's going to bring the emotion to the line. He's going to bring leadership. And you know what else? We haven't seen Jerry Hughes, the Jerry Hughes of maybe early Bills era, where he would get a little overheated and maybe get a roughing call or maybe get in someone's face. Like, that Jerry Hughes isn't there anymore. We've just got good Jerry Hughes. So Gary Hughes, someone's going to call us out on that for calling that, he's real, man, and he's a great player, and we're lucky to have him. And honestly, one of the top, I'll say, 5 easily trades the Bills have ever made in their history was getting Jerry Hughes.
He's making a push to be a Wall of Famer too, and has, as his career progresses, like, he was really good back when Jim Schwartz was here. And a lot of people think it's because of Jim Schwartz and the wide 9. And I understand where they're coming from, but look at the players he had next to him on that defensive line. He had Kyle Williams, he had Marcel Darius, and he had Mario Williams. There were a lot of power players on that defensive line, and he's more of a finesse player. I would like to see the Buffalo Bills go out and add a couple more power players to this defensive line, because all along the defensive line, whether it's Vernon Butler or it's Quentin Jefferson or it's Ed Oliver or AJ Epinesa, which is weird because we thought AJ Epinesa was going to be a power player. They're all finesse players. He is surrounded by players just like him, finesse, speedy players. So I think it'd be interesting to get a power player or two next to him on the defensive line, because I think you probably see more box score statistics out of him if he had a couple more power players to play off of. We missed a super chat before we get to Fluffy Pandas here, and I do apologize. Kurt Bonaker, he says, who's better at quarterback, Eli or Warner? I have no idea. He says Kurt Warner. I'm not going to lie to you. I've never really looked at any of their career stats. I would say probably Warner. And that's about it. We got a whole bunch of super chats, but we got Fluffy Panda here. What does Fluffy Panda got to say?
Yeah, so getting back to the Belichick thing, head games might have worked in 19, but not with Diggs on the team now. He's truly giving that offense the confidence they need, and they all root for another. And that is so much a part of this, right? Is Diggs coming in being like, I'm going to take you all higher. And so Diggs, he is Creed himself.
Yeah.
Taking everyone else higher on the team.
And here's another thing that Skip Bayless pissed me off. He's like, well, Baker Mayfield doesn't have Stephon Diggs. And that's why Josh Allen is so good, is because he's got Stephon Diggs to throw to. Well, first of all, he spreads the ball out a lot. The Buffalo Bills offense spreads the football a lot. But it says something about a quarterback when he can feed a receiver, because guess what Baker Mayfield has not been able to do in his career in Cleveland? Feed Odell Beckham. And he's better when Odell's not on the field.
So it was like contradicting his own argument.
And well, Stephon Diggs too, from CBS Sports HQ today. Stephon Diggs has 17 games this season of 6+ receptions. Nobody has ever done that before. He's literally putting up video game numbers. Like I said, we are living in a Madden simulation. The Bills are number 2 in points scored in the NFL this year, behind only the Green Bay Packers. We're number 1 in DVOA, and Stephon Diggs is literally putting up video game numbers. It's insane. No wide receiver should be doing what he's doing. Is he the most athletically gifted wide receiver in the game? No, you can make the argument that Julio and Nuke and Devontae are better, but he's definitely one of the top 2 receivers in football right now. It's Stephon and it's Devontae. And those two are not carrying, but those two are coming up in big situations. And that's why the Packers and the Buffalo Bills are 2 of the 4 teams on a collision course for the Super Bowl.
And honestly, I think the top 3 receivers in the game right now are Devontae, Diggs, and Tyreek Hill, and all 3 of those.
You could throw Mike Evans in there too. He's a different kind of receiver, but you could throw Mike Evans in there too. Man, we got a whole bunch of chats.
Yeah, Joe said Hughes is great when not being held every play, and he does get held a lot. But again, we know holding has kind of been called lesser this year. Rashid Turner, no, he's been consistent on this. He is not a Hughes guy. He says Hughes is terrible. Stats matter, and I'm assuming he's referring to sacks. And but I don't think we're going to change Rashid's mind here. I don't think he's a big Hughes supporter.
There's room for all opinions here.
There's room for all opinions. Truth Hearts comes in and says Jerry Hughes is the Andre Roberts of the defensive end, not electric, but does his job. And that I think that's a good comparison. Like, Roberts is the model of consistency. He does his job. Hughes does the same. He's not a TJ Watt. He's not a Joey Bosa. He's not that type of guy, but he is there every week, and you know what you're going to get from him. And he will make he will make significant plays if given the opportunity. So, and then we've got Scott saying we have a real good chance to make the Super Bowl if we can only get past KC. What are your guys' opinion on, do we have a good chance to make the Super Bowl? I'm going to say
we have a 50 shot. No, I'm being dead serious. Like, here's how much respect the Buffalo Bills are getting. The home team always gets typically 3 points. And the Kansas City Chiefs are 4-point favorites right now, according to Vegas. They're like 4.5. That's a lot of respect to the Buffalo Bills. I think it's
less than that.
Yeah. I think it's less. Like, honestly, like, I'm not afraid of that Kansas City defense. I'm not. Chris Jones is a very good player. Tyrann Mathieu is a very good player. Snead, their cornerback, who's a rookie, has had a really good year. Dirty Dan, whatever. You can say whatever you want about Dirty Dan, but I'm not afraid of that defense. Like, I'm not. Like, I understand the weather is not looking great on Sunday night. I understand the Buffalo Bills have not seen a crowd that size. So hard counts are probably going to have to go into effect for the first time this season for the Buffalo Bills. Tennessee, they played in front of like 9,000. Miami, they played in front of 8,000 or something, or maybe it was 12,000, but it sounded more like 8,000 because Miami fans aren't real. But this is going to be like legit. Like what you see the Bills do with their stadium, Kansas City does it to both levels. I think it's going to be almost 15,000 fans. Like that place looked packed on Sunday. So it's going to get loud, and the Buffalo Bills are going to have to go to a hard count for the first time this year, but anything can happen. This team is good enough to beat them. Now, am I going to sit here and say I'm feeling 100% confident? Am I going to sit here and predict we're going to blow the doors off them? Can I confidently say we're going to win this football game? No. But guess what? We have as good a shot as any to win this football. We have just as good of a chance to win this football game as the Kansas City Chiefs do, in my opinion.
And as of right now, the ESPN FPI has the Bills over 50% to win the game now. I don't know if they've updated that or if that will update when they know more about Pat. But Jeremy Higson coming in with a super sticker. Thank you, Jeremy. If you want to drop a comment in there into the comment section, we will read that. And then Kurt comes in and says, of course we have a shot at the AFC Championship.
Anyone ever see that old Nickelodeon movie Snow Day? Did you ever see that old Nickelodeon movie Snow Day?
I don't think so.
Oh, anyone in the comment section? I know I'm like 30, so it's a very minute group of people that I'm catering to here. But there was like a Nickelodeon movie back in like the early 2000s, late 90s called Snow Day, and one of the main characters of the movie like had a crush on a girl or whatever. It was like a stupid kid movie, and she was like way out of his league, but he was like, anything can happen on Snow Day, and he just kept flirting with her the whole fucking movie. And at the end of the movie, they finally like started making out or whatever. But like, I almost feel like that. Like anything can happen in the AFC Championship game.
People have seen
anything can happen.
Yeah, Christopher McLeese says yes. Garang Dor says yes. I've seen it.
Oh yeah, it was the girl from Entourage. Yes, man, she was in everything in the early 2000s. Yeah, that was a good movie. It was a solid movie. So thank you for those of you. Snowplow truck driver, and I think that was Chris Elliott too. I think it was Chris Elliott from what's that show? Schitt's Creek. There we go. I think it was the guy from Schitt's Creek.
Also, Chris Elliott from early Tostitos commercial.
Yeah, we got Randy Hardman coming in saying any given Sunday. Yeah, was it a game of inches? Al Pacino.
My funny story about Any Given Sunday quickly. My friend who's a big Bills fan that I grew up with on the same street, and how I really became a Bills fan. His parents decided they knew we loved football. We were like, I don't know, 10 when that movie came out, like 12 maybe. And they're like, let's go take him to see it. It's a football movie. And then little did they know, they got in there. It's like rated R, and there's like all this terrible stuff happening in the movie. And we come out of there and we're like, we probably shouldn't have seen that movie at age 10 or 12 or whatever we were. So just a little funny thing there. Great movie though.
Apparently Joe is putting up a video for us. The Buffalo Bills have taken a shot at getting it right and posted a video. So we might have to get that video up. I think Joe said he might be uploading the video for us, but the Buffalo Bills Twitter account has taken their official shot at Nick Wright. So after the show, head on over to Bills Twitter, and it's on their Instagram as well. But before we give them too much credit, before we give the Buffalo Bills social media too much credit, I want to give out our jabroni.
Stop you though. You keep using this word jabroni, and it's awesome.
Buffalo Bills, I need to have a conversation with you. Did you see this tweet today, Dave? Did you see this tweet?
I did see it.
What does it say? What are they tweeting out right now?
It looks like it says Buffalo versus everybody. Looks like that's what it says.
Should we get the cease and desist ready?
I mean,
what are we gonna do here?
Were we the originals on that? I'm just trying to. Were we? I don't know. Either way,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe we should be allowed to use the Bills in our logo again. I don't know, man.
I mean, it seems like a valid compromise, at least, right? I mean, like I'm giving them free publicity by wearing their logo here on the show.
Hey, my man Billy. I used to work at Tops Friendly Markets with Billy. We went to high school together. Thank you, Billy. Head on over to Tonawanda and get some Palumbo pizza. How about that? A little shout out to Palumbo's Pizza in Tonawanda. Head on over there and get your pizza needs if you're in Buffalo.
Rashid's still coming in on Jerry, and I'm going to give him his time here because he is throwing the super chats out there. Hughes got sacks because Lamar held on the ball. Hughes is a nice guy now because his play has fell off. 4.5 sacks, less than 30 tackles. Yeah, it's a struggle for me to just look at box score statistics with Hughes and really to look at box score statistics for defensive ends in a McDermott defense.
Mm-hmm.
If you just we've talked about this at length in the past, right? With his defenses with Carolina, they weren't huge sack outfits, right? They were pressure and containment and basically making the quarterback uncomfortable and limiting damage from the quarterback. So, I mean, yes, I understand where he's coming from. You would want a guy to have maybe that you're paying that much money closer to 10 sacks, but I still think that he's still a pretty good player, especially for how old he is.
Got Christian McLeese coming in. I love this. He says there's a deleted scene in the DVD version of Snow Day where a younger Nick Wright got a ketchup and mustard to the face. It was destiny. So you got to appreciate that as well. All right. I know we got Billy coming in too saying, does anyone know if Freeman will play at all? Since he got that super chat in earlier. That's a good question. So I have a question for you because one of my biggest concerns watching this football game was we don't have a run game. We're incapable of running the football. I mean, it's non-existent. It's clear that Brian Daboll has no faith in it. Is there anything we can do at this point in the playoffs to change up this running game, whether it's changing a running back, shuffling the offensive line? Would you risk throwing any sort of wrench into what we have going on in this offense to try to improve this running game?
No, I think what you just need to do is do something like you saw in the opening drive of the second half and just be content with that being your running game. Meaning, and that drive, I think it was like a 10 or 11 play drive that ran the ball 4 times, maybe 3 with Singletary, 1 with Josh Allen. And it was effective because they were timely, right? When they called the runs, made the difference. And I think if you're Brian Daboll and you're the Bills, that's what you need to be thinking about as you head into this next game. I think you just need to be cognizant that you do need to sprinkle in a few runs here and there, but you need to do it when you have the right defensive look that you want to run the ball, and you need to do it efficiently. So you don't necessarily have to do what you did in the first half and have one Devin Singletary run. I think it was one Devin Singletary run and one Josh Allen scramble was it in the first half, but you do need to mix it in here and there. And to me, it's no surprise that was our best drive of the game when they had those timely runs mixed into a still very pass heavy drive. That was our best drive of the game. So I don't think you need to go crazy, but I do think you need to mix it in, here and there where it makes sense.
Yeah, like Devontae Freeman, I think, is a break class in case of emergency guy. I don't think he'll ever see the field for the Buffalo Bills unless there's a rash of injuries. I don't even think we'll see Antonio Williams. If you look at it, TJ Yeldon barely played. It was mostly the Devin Singletary show. And then as far as TJ Yeldon goes, I didn't even realize this until it was pointed out from Greg Temset of Cover One. Everyone's freaking out over Antonio Williams' Week 17 game against Miami Dolphins. But if you look at it, statistically, TJ Yeldon's had a better season than Antonio Williams. So TJ Yeldon in the time he's played has played better than Antonio Williams played. Scott Van Loo coming in with a very detailed recount of the movie Snow Day. He says, yes, I seen Snow Day. this kid, this hot girl, trying to get this hot girl's attention, but every time he does, something bad happens, and when he finally does kiss her, it's on the diving board. You know what? I kind of remember that now. Every year, my fiance makes me watch Christmas movies. Like, she loves Christmas movies.
You don't like them? You don't like Christmas movies?
I'm not a big guy who likes to watch the same movie twice. Like,
okay,
I guess, like, I'm like, can we just wait till we have kids to watch these things? Like, do I got to watch Home Alone every Christmas? I guess I'm just weird like that. Like, I don't like, I've seen Elf like 500 times, and every time I do, I fall asleep. Like, it's just, so maybe next Christmas, I will make her watch Snow Day so we can mix in a movie that I haven't seen 1.5 million times, or something I haven't seen in a while. National Lampoon's Die Hard. A lot of good Christmas movies. We were gonna watch the new Netflix ones with Kurt Russell, but never got around to it. Christmas Chronicles.
Oh yeah, the original one's better.
Speaking of crazy Christmas movies, did you see that Mel Gibson came out with a Christmas movie this year?
Mel Gibson. What? Yeah, I think so. Wait,
all right.
Am I thinking of the right
seriously,
thing?
Seriously, guys, we're gonna take like a 2-minute diversion here from the Buffalo Bills, because we were looking for a movie to watch today, because we had the day off, and we ended up watching WandaVision, which was weird. But I was going through like the Amazon Prime like rental movies. Mel Gibson did a movie this winter called Fat Man, where he played Santa Claus.
I've heard of that.
Well, a kid gets coal and sends a hitman after him. The military is using his like powers of reading people's minds and knowing if they're naughty or nice to like their advantage. Like, it was the most fucked up thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah, Randy says it's a dark comedy. Like, when he says it's a dark comedy, it was dark. Like, that trailer was crazy. So that's definitely a movie I'm gonna want to check out at some point. So Mel Gibson, Fat Man, that trailer was funny. It was funny. It was definitely a different kind of Christmas movie. But all right, back to the Buffalo Bills. I wonder if Joe has this video in there for us yet.
It's all over social media, so I wonder if we could just save it and put it in.
Yeah, it is. All right, well, we will see if Joe can get it in, but if not, I have a question for Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano. Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds, how did our linebackers stack up? Did they take us higher?
Oh, they did. And let me tell you something. I'm glad we're getting to this, because I said in the pregame I thought Tremaine Edmonds needed to have a good game. And man, he showed up. He showed up on pass defense. He showed up in run defense. He laid the wood to Dobbins on multiple occasions. And like, it kind of went under the radar, but there was like one play where it was like a 2 or 3 yard run by Dobbins, and he just freaking laid him out. And like, you could hear it. And I was like, damn, like Tremaine Edmonds came to play today, had a nice pass breakup on Andrews. He was all over the field. Obviously, Milano as well, and covering Andrews on a couple of those key third downs. We know the one to the sideline that he broke up, which was on a key third down. And like, those guys, we said like they had to have big games, both of them. They were critical, and both showed up, especially in my mind, Edmonds. I thought Edmonds really played an outstanding game.
Yeah, we got Rashid coming in saying, I wish we had 10 Teron Johnsons too. I mean, we're going to have a lot of conversations this offseason. Teron Johnson's going to be going into a contract year. So the Bills are going to have a lot of conversations that they're going to have over the next, 3-4 years, and a lot of things to talk about in the offseason. It's weird. Usually we're talking about these things by now, but we're not. Do you give guys like Teron Johnson money, or do you go try to draft his replacement? This and this and this and all those different things. So, two guys I do think we should pay, though, are Tremaine Edmonds, and I think we should find a way to pay Matt Milano. I think he's just too important to this defense. But, ladies and gentlemen, you may have already seen it, but Joe Miller worked really hard to upload it for us. So here it is. The Buffalo Bills social media team taking on the one, the only, Dick Nose. What did I call it? I called him something different. What did I call him? I had a nickname for him earlier this year. Oh, damn it. Whatever. Dick Nose, Dick Weasel, Nick Wright.
Anyway,
here's why I don't think it'll happen.
I'm listening.
I know the Ravens have a better defense.
Pocket collapsing. He's going to be dropped. He is sacked. Brought down by Jerry Hughes.
Don't you ever get tired of being wrong all the time?
The Ravens want to beat you by running it straight down your throat. And that is the Bills' biggest weakness.
Percent of the time, I have no idea what the I'm talking about.
And that's why I think this will be the one upset of the week.
I think the Buffalo Bills have to beat the Kansas City Chiefs just to shut this guy up once and for all.
It's going to be – he's going to have his fun if the Chiefs win.
Yeah.
And you saw that, he made the comment on yesterday, or I guess, it must have been yesterday, or maybe it was even Saturday night, where he said, like, I'm getting the ketchup and mustard, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, enjoy it because this will be like your last win until next September. Like, he had to throw that dig in at the very end.
We got Dominic K coming in. He says, Harrison Phillips had a great game also. So that was my next question, was going to be Harrison Phillips, Justin Zimmer, Trent Murphy. I think those three took us higher. What do you think?
I mean, what we're getting at here, everyone, is that this was like really a top to bottom great defensive performance from really the entire unit, right? Justin Zimmer, he's an athletic freak. There was the videos out there of him like on the interception. I mean, Trent Murphy containing Lamar on some of those runs and just forcing him back to the inside. I mean, those guys, it's incredibly difficult to change direction as many times as they did, being the size they are in those short areas where Lamar's so good. And for them to do that consistently all game and keep bringing it all game, really incredible. And I was a little nervous in the beginning because I think Vernon Butler walked out, got hurt and came off, but I think he did come back in the game. So really kudos to all of those guys. And Chris says, Judge, you remember who told you Justin Zimmer would be a good player? And it must have been Chris, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was one of the players this offseason that I was wrong about. I was like, I was really upset when we cut Vincent Taylor, and I was really upset when that guy whose name I can't remember, who came over from St. Louis and everyone was saying was really popping at training camp, didn't get invited to the practice squad, and Justin Zimmer did. I was like, what the heck? Like, what has Justin Zimmer ever done? Like, I understand he's a physical, but he's never showed up on the football field. But, over the last few years, like, I was always very much, in my draft scouting and my free agent scouting, I was always like, give me a football player, not a freak. I was always pro football player, like the freaks come and go. But the last couple of years, like, you remember the last draft where I was like, where I did a complete 180 and I was all aboard, going after like the Chase Claypools of the world, the Kyle Warings of the world. A couple of drafts ago, Titus Howard was like my favorite draft prospect a couple of years ago. He ended up going to Houston in the late first round. Everyone's like, Titus Howard, are you kidding me? Sabres up 3-0, by the way, second goal of the game by Sam Reinhart. But, and he's Justin Zimmer was one of those freaks. Yes, Tanzel Smart. Justin Zimmer was one of those freaks, and it took him a while, but some of those plays he was making in that Baltimore game were just freaking outstanding, man. It was incredible to watch, especially when you zoom in on that all 22.
Yeah, agreed. Billy, your buddy here coming in with the super chat. Why drive when you can fly? Justin, would be great to see. I'm about the run game. If we're already great, think about what we would be at that point. And I guess it's a question of like, what sacrifices do you make in the passing game by going towards more of a run gameplay? Like, I think there's a point of diminishing returns there, I guess is my point, is that, you can't, I don't know that you can have elite in both because it like they kind of eat away at each other in a way. There's only so many plays, only so many possessions, but I get where he's coming from. Like, you want the ability to do it. And I think the Bills do have the ability to do it. They're just not as good at it as they are passing the ball. So it makes sense for them to pass as much as they do.
Again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself by making like outlandish statements or anything, because especially because we're not in the offseason yet. I think the Buffalo Bills might part ways with Mitch Morse this offseason. He's a veteran player. He's got a great relationship with Josh, but he's more of a pass blocker than a run blocker. And I think he gets pushed around by those bigger nose tackles. I think that you could see Mitch Morse go. I think you could see the Buffalo Bills re-sign Feliciano and move Feliciano to center because he's that bigger body, more physical. And then you could have Cody Ford, who's a bigger body guy, at one of the guard spots. And then I think you could see the Bills chase a guy in free agency or draft a guy like one of my favorite players in the draft, Wyatt Davis from Ohio State, in the late, first round, or grab a guy in the late second round, and just get some bigger, bulkier bodies on the interior of that offensive line. It's a hot take. It's a hot take. It's a hot take. But it's something and I'm already pissing some people off in the comment section. But it's just something I see could happen. It's something it's clearly the offensive line. It's clearly the offensive line. Like Devin Singletary showed last year what he's capable of. Zach Moss was the Pac-12 player of the year. TJ Yeldon has been a very good running back in the National Football League. It's not the running backs, folks. Are the running backs perfect? No, but it's not the running backs. So whether they need to figure out a new scheme, which they've had 17, 18, 19, 20 weeks to do, like it's clearly the three guys in the middle of that offensive line that are the problem. It's clear as day. They can pass block really well. They can't run block for shit. They can't. Ike Bucker can't do it. Mitch Morse can't do it. John Feliciano is on an island there with those two other guys next to him, because I don't think Darrell Williams is the best run blocker either. Someone says, what's the dead cap hit? I believe it's save $6.
Checking it right now.
I think you lose $6 million, save $4 million. It's not an easy pill to swallow.
Dead cap. Yeah, the potential out is 2021. The dead cap's $5.5 million.
It's not an easy pill to swallow. But I think it's something you might see. Again, I don't want to have this conversation until the. But
then you're paying Feliciano to be the center, right? I mean, you have to in that situation. Our guy, our OG, Reed Levine, boys honest question here. If someone told you in September we'd be in the AFC Championship game with a realistic chance to beat the Chiefs, would you have even thought it was realistic? Well, I mean, Steve, you did predict before the season started that it would be Bills, Packers, Super Bowl. So I will say, honest answer, Steve, yes, Steve did believe. I did not have the Bills in the Super Bowl. I thought that they could win a playoff game, maybe two, in September. But again, I've talked about this the last several weeks, how my expectations changed as the season progressed, and now they're higher. So, and again, that was because of the progression of Allen in the offense. Obviously, this team has gotten better faster than I thought they would, and I think that a lot of people thought they would. So the expectations are higher now. In September, I say win a playoff game, maybe more. But Steve, you did say Bills over Packers in the Super Bowl, so I will give you that.
And I'll tell you what, like, I thought they would be doing it on the back of their defense again. I didn't expect it to be Josh Allen tossing 50 touchdowns going into the game. I thought Josh Allen would take a next step. I said before, I expect Josh Allen to take a step this year, but I didn't expect him to take 2 or 3 steps, and he took 2 or 3 steps. He's now one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League, top 3. He'll probably be top 5 in the league for the next decade. Decade plus. So that's absolutely awesome to see. Like, you'd obviously prefer your quarterback take you there. I just thought it would be more balanced between the offense and the defense. I wasn't expecting to be scoring 30 plus points a game. I was expecting to bump up to 24, 25 points a game.
We said 24.9 was the goal. I mean,
to continue to count on that defense. And the defense sort of went away. Like I said, they've been running hot, cold, and the offense has been the best or the second best in the National Football League behind the Green Bay Packers, however you want to calculate it. So just crazy stuff.
And Reed comes in stuff. It really hit home for me when Toronto took it to the house. Just crazy. That was crazy. 101-yard touchdown, longest touchdown in Bills playoff franchise history for Teron Johnson there. So crazy stuff indeed. Rashid says, if we're honest, number 49 is slightly above average linebacker. I will say that if you look at his entire body of work this season, and you don't discount the injury as much as I want to discount it, then he did have an above, a slightly above average season. But if you look at his play in two, and compartmentalize his play into 2 halves, one when he was playing injured and one when he wasn't, I would say he's certainly more than above average when he's been healthy. And I will agree with Rashid that when he was not healthy and playing through injury, that he was probably below average in those games. So
4-0 Sabres now. 2 goals from Sam Reinhart, 2 goals from Curtis Lazar. So the fourth line stepping up for the Sabres tonight. For those of you who don't watch hockey, sorry. But I'm going to make a hockey analogy right now, Rashid. You're saying he's a slightly above average linebacker. That's pretty good for a guy who's what, 22? Years old. I almost look at Tremaine Edmonds like I look at like a young hockey player who's like 19 or 20, like Rasmus Dahlin from the Sabres. Everyone is like, why is Rasmus Dahlin not leading the Buffalo Sabres to a Stanley Cup? Like, he was the number 1 overall pick. He was supposed to be McDavid, blah, 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 all these different things. But the dude was like 18 years old and he's 3 years into his contract and he's still like one of the best 20-year-olds in the game. Like, just imagine what that dude's going to look like when he's 25. Imagine what he's going to look like when he's 28. So for me, I'm a little bit more patient with Tremaine Edmonds than a lot of other people. I remember, I'm not trying to call anyone out, but I remember this chat was full of people in the middle of the season when he was going through that shoulder injury that like, he's Bud Dupree, move him to outside linebacker. We need to draft a middle linebacker, switch him and Milano, all these different things. Like, I understand. I understand if you guys are frustrated. If you think that Tremaine Edmonds isn't the shit like I do, that's fine. But like,
let me ask you this, Steve.
To me, like, that man's got the longest leash of anyone on this football team for me.
Let me ask you this. Sabres, they have Jeff Skinner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the Sabres as well as you do. What is how good of a player is Jeff Skinner for the Sabres? Is he one of their best players?
He is one of their best players. Right now, he's in the coach's doghouse. He's on the 4th line, even though he's playing his ass off. But he's always one of those players that I would compare him to John Brown. Mm-hmm. I would say he's a good player, but he's a product of the talent around him. Like, John Brown was always at most of his stops like a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, and then he got Josh Allen and turned his game to another level. I would think Jeff Skinner plays really well when he's with Jack Eichel, but when he's off Jack Eichel's line, it's like meh.
The reason I bring that up is because I live in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of Hurricanes fans here. Jeff Skinner was drafted 7th overall by the Canes way back when he was 18 years old, and is a lot of the similar things that you were just saying. Is like, there were a lot of expectations on Jeff Skinner when he was drafted by the Canes as an 18-year-old, and he was playing with Eric Stahl and he's reunited again now with Eric Stahl. But Eric Stahl was like our center, like he was the guy for us and on the Canes and there was these super high expectations that Skinner would be the guy to kind of take the mantle, but he was only 18, right? So we have to remember with Tremaine Edmonds, he's only 22 and he's in his 3rd season. So it's like, and he's playing pretty great right now. So I'm going to give him a long leash, like you said. And he says, I just want to I get you, Rashid. I get you.
Because Fluffy Panda said, worried about Rashid's sodium intake. He seems salty. We always need a devil's advocate here. We always need a devil's advocate.
We need it.
I love it. That's why I love
Truth to Hearts usuly brings that for us too, as well.
I loved all of those Ravens fans in the chat last week, keeping us honest. So, I'm not even mad at them either, because some of them were a little full of themselves, but nothing but respect to Ravens fans. Most of them were pretty good dudes. A lot of them ended up giving us a nice little super chat at the end of the pregame show, but they were in full force in that pregame show. I can't wait till Thursday show, because it seems like, I'm not a YouTube guy. I don't know how YouTube works. Like, I was never a YouTube guy. I'm just now becoming a YouTube guy. I'm like, there are like video podcasts like ours. Like, I watch other shows now, and I go and I watch like NFL film room shows. I'm like, I didn't realize like you could put YouTube on your television and use it like TV. I'm a pretty techie guy. I didn't really understand the power of YouTube. Oh, I'm getting choppy. Is it better? A
little bit.
All right. Anyway, I'll duck out for a second and let you take some questions, but
you're good. You're good now.
Okay. I don't even remember where I was going with this. Something about YouTube shows.
Yeah, YouTube. NFL films, something.
I don't know how YouTube works. I forgot where I was going with this. I had something. It's gone now.
My bad, man.
It's good. Where was I going? It's gonna bother me now.
You were talking about Thursday's show and something going on with YouTube, and you were ready for Thursday's show for some reason. I don't know. I don't know where you were going.
I remember where I'm going now. I remember where I'm going with this. All right. So, apparently, like, when you put the name of the team in the title, it shows up like on things you may like to watch. So if a Ravens fan who watches a lot of Ravens videos logs on to YouTube, it'll say, this video might interest you. the air raid hour because it says Buffalo Bills versus Baltimore Ravens in our title sequence. So I've been intentionally putting the opponent in our title sequence every day. So I'm looking forward to Thursday when it says Kansas City Chiefs in the title sequence. And I'm also trying to get us a special guest on Thursday.
Ooh, a surprise.
I shot my shot on Twitter, not with Michael Robinson. Michael Robinson, I'm trying to get for Rico. Because that just seems like a Rico thing. Like, listen, there's sometimes you just got to admit that you're not capable of handling an interview. And I don't think we could handle Mike Robb. That's a Rico thing. But I sent a message to Luke Russert, son of Tim Russert, to see if we could get him on the show on Thursday. So hopefully he responds. I was a huge fan of his father's. Probably going to clip a few of those comments he used to make about the Buffalo Bills for our show next week, or if the Bills beat the Chiefs, because no one has had better. No one's, in my opinion, made better commentary on the Buffalo Bills and what the Buffalo Bills mean to Buffalo than Tim Russert. If you guys have never seen that old ESPN documentary, you can still find it on YouTube, like The Town, the Team, the Dream. Oh, it'll make you cry like a little friggin' baby. Tim Russert, man, just personified everything that was Buffalo, the South Buffalonian that it was, Tim Russert. But we got Joe Miller in the comment section saying, bring on Mike Robb. We got Matthew Montgomery. Dude, I don't know if we can handle Creed either. I know Kyle Brandt had Scott Stratt on Thanksgiving to relive that halftime show. So Randy thinks we should try to get Mike Robb.
I mean, we're going to try for Rico to get Mike Robb, but yeah. I think Scott Stratt for us might be.
Yeah, that could be attainable.
That could be a thing.
That could be an off-season thing, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Or maybe before the Super Bowl, just to come on and sing live. Can you take me higher? Like we can bring him on for 50 seconds. Like, hey, Scott Stratt, can we get you on the show just to sing the chorus to take me higher and then leave? Like, just not even be here.
Chris has a good one here. Joe should interview James Earl Jones and have a voice off.
Ooh. I like that.
Okay. You know, I think that but that's a little they're different types of voices. So I don't know. I guess it would just depend on kind of what your style is. But yeah, I think we could probably make this happen.
Yeah. It's at the point now where, like, I feel like anytime we ever need to do a commercial, I'm just going to call Joe and be like, hey, Joe, can you talk into a microphone for 30 seconds for me? We got Richard Rush coming on saying, Judge, have me and Joe on and we can name drop players that y'all didn't know. LOL. Tim Tyndale. Haven't heard that name in years. My knowledge of early 2000s Buffalo players from like the Greg Williams era is absolutely phenomenal. So anyone who wants to get into an early 2000s era Bills name drop with me, let's go. I'm ready. Jeremy McDaniel, Avion Black, Sean Bryson, Jonathan Linton, Leif Larson, Eric Flowers. Just bring it on. Rayon Hill. Bring it on.
Todd Williams.
Bring it on. Shane Matthews. Billy Palumbo says, this is something I wanted to bring up too. He says, anyone else confused on how Mahomes got the concussion? From what I have been hearing from some Chiefs insiders, it wasn't a banging of the head. It was a ripping of the neck. So it was like a nerve thing in his neck. So Andy Reid was sort of, somebody says, Brian Orlando says, Andy Reid has a medical degree. We were having this conversation in the BF family chat, like Eric Schmidt, who spent some time in Iraq and Afghanistan as a Marine, said, if he ever got a neck injury like that out there on the battlefield, if they didn't strap him to a board and take all the precautions in the world, like there would be people who would be fired. And he thought that they really screwed up their handling of Patrick Mahomes by not strapping him to a board and taking every single precaution available. Cause that dude was woozy as heck. Like if it wasn't from banging his head and there was some nerve damage in his neck, that's absolutely crazy. But according to Andy Reid, he passed all the post-game tests he has to pass. That doesn't mean he's out of concussion protocol because there's still a week-long concussion protocol that he has to follow. But according to Patrick Mahomes, he's fine on his Twitter. So all signs point to Patrick Mahomes playing, but it was more of a nerve. Yeah, there was more nerve damage in his neck, I would assume, than anything else. So that is Patrick Mahomes' status. Let's talk a little Allen versus Mahomes, shall we?
That should be interesting. Tease it for Thursday a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is going to be really interesting because I don't know. This is Josh Allen's chance to shut everybody up, right? Like there are still some people out there who are like, 1 year wonder, this, that. Like if he can come out here and he can go toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes and he can win this football game through the air, I think that shuts everyone up for good. There will be a couple of people who in there who says like, oh, Patrick Mahomes is dealing with a neck injury. So, Josh beat like a 70% Patrick Mahomes. Like it's whatever. But, we'll save this conversation. I think, Lola McGee says you should see all the Bills fans in the Chiefs live stream right now. I never really thought about going into an opponent's live stream. I know we got our guy over there at not StreamYard, over at my mind is like a abyss today. But our Colts guy over on literally we are on this platform, Sportscaster. But Colts Law over on Sportscaster, but I hardly ever tune into other team streams. Maybe that's something I should consider this week. Rashid Turner coming in saying the playoffs are too stressful. I am not functioning normal. Life might have been better knowing you wasn't going anywhere. How are y'all staying sane? The fact that I never have to leave my house, I think helps. Like I literally work in my pajamas. Like I can literally start my workday 30 seconds before I actually start. Like I don't have to drive to work or anything. I don't have to talk to people, and my workday ends the second my last class is over. So I have a lot of free time to just sit around and think about the Bills and to sit on Twitter and talk about it. So I feel like if I had to be a functioning adult, I'd be struggling, but I'm not really being asked to be a functioning adult right now. So that really helps. At least I find that helps. What about you, Dave? Because you have to be a functioning adult.
I mean, here's the thing for me. My work life right now is terrible. I have so much work to do, and I'm trying to prep my team at work for my paternity leave because my wife's due in like less than 3 weeks. So I am staying sane by being distracted essentially from work and by helping my wife and getting things ready for this baby. And that is honestly the best distraction I could have. Work, not so much, but that is a great distraction. Work is just killing me. And that's really it. I mean, part of it is also knowing that I need to try to stay as objective as possible for doing these shows and like trying to find that right balance of being a fan and also being objective, because you don't want to be the person that's always negative and then people always know like that's who you are with the team. You don't want to be the guy that's always the homer, because then people know like no matter what happens, that's who you're going to be with the team. You want to be objective as much as possible, but at the same time, you're a fan at heart. And that's why a lot of times during the games, I don't really go on social media a ton. I just try to enjoy it really as a fan. And that's kind of what I do.
T Dope 768 comes in and says, tell me what Mahomes has that just doesn't have and vice versa. Well, a Super Bowl ring, an MVP title, and he plays in a market that the national media cares about. That's about it. Because in my opinion, athletically they're the same, arm strength are the same. And that's why Josh Allen really has a chance to go toe to toe with Mahomes this week, beat him in his home stadium, and make the statement to the world really that they are the same. Because I really do think Josh Allen has elevated his game to a level where he was a top 3 quarterback in the National Football League this year, top 2 quarterback in the National. He was better than Mahomes this year, period. Like it was Aaron Rodgers, it was Josh Allen, then it was everybody else. Patrick Mahomes was third, in my opinion. It's not even a question. But and he's proven, I think that, we're still going to have to see it, but he's proven that he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League for the next decade, because he hasn't even hit a ceiling yet. Maybe you could argue that Patrick Mahomes has hit a ceiling yet and Josh Allen hasn't. So I don't think I've watched enough Patrick Mahomes game to know that. But I do know that Dawson Knox touchdown in game number 1 would have gotten a lot more play on SportsCenter had it been number 15 in a Chiefs jersey thrown it. I do know that.
Sure would have.
Rashid coming in, you could tell Rashid is struggling right now because
Rashid's on fire.
He's got a lot to get off his chest. So Rashid, we respect. He says, I work from home, so I'm on YouTube. Oh, dude, don't do that to yourself, man. Watching national takes on the Bills and watching game film 24/7 via Game Pass. I can barely shower. I'm with you, man. But I would avoid the national takes as much as possible. Tune into your Buffalo Bills people, whether it's Fanatics or elsewhere. Get your Bills fixed, man. Don't worry yourself about the Mike Greenbergs and the Skip Baylesses and the Rex Ryans of the world.
Richard, it's a girl. We're having a girl. And
he's oddly going to name it Josh. He's still naming it Josh, though.
Yeah,
he's still naming her Josh. I just called her baby It, so I do apologize. No, I call so many babies It's bad. It's real bad.
Coincidentally enough, no, her name's going to be Addison, and it has nothing to do with Mario Addison, but we just like that name, and so that's going to be the name. I think we just missed one super chat from your buddy Billy. Same situation from home, and love it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it is nice, I will say, and I'm going to be on paternity leave, so I'm going to be at home anyway, and hopefully you can spend some time. Honestly, it's kind of good timing because I'm going to hopefully try to use that time I'm not at work. Obviously, I'll be taking care of the baby, but really getting ready for the draft is going to be what I'm going to be using those next couple months for. So it'll be good.
Low Lip McGee coming in. Saying you guys weren't coming off a Super Bowl, so you guys weren't getting everyone's best game every week. It's not the same. We played the fifth toughest schedule. Like, we had such a hard schedule this year. We played so many teams who were in the playoffs. We played we played one of the toughest schedules in the National Football League, and we went 13-3. So, I think it got to a point late in the season where we were getting people's best games.
Yeah, I don't know how much. I mean, there's probably some truth to that where people, teams are jacked up to play this defending Super Bowl champs, but it's a new season in my mind, and it's a new season. It's new. Everyone knows the Chiefs are good. They know they're gonna have to play a great game against them to win. So I don't know. I mean, there's probably some truth to that, but I don't read too much.
Their schedule was tougher, so let me pull up their schedule. Let me rate their schedule here real quick. Kansas City Chiefs. They won 14-2, so they won one more game than us. They played the Texans, Chargers, Ravens. They got them early when they were struggling early. Patriots, which we went 2-0 against. You guys won. The Raiders, the Bills, the Broncos, the Jets, the Panthers, the Raiders, the Buccaneers, the Broncos. Their schedule looks about the same as ours, and they went 14-2, and we went 13-3. So I don't know. To say it's tougher, I don't know about that.
Just look at the strength of schedule, right? I mean, see what the opponents' records were. I mean,
yes,
we played the Jets twice, but they also got to play the Broncos twice. I don't know. It's probably fairly close, I would imagine.
Spin says this. I don't know if it's true or not, but someone on the internet said it, so it's true. The Bills are the hardest schedule and SOV among the playoff teams. So whether that's true, but
I thought I saw something like Bills were the only team, or they were one of only two teams that had an over 500 strength of schedule of the teams in the playoffs, meaning like the teams they played were over 500.
Yeah.
Thought I saw something like that. Anyway.
All right. So we are just rolling through. It's true. We posted on Instagram. So.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Bobby, you better be right.
Yeah, I think he's right.
He said we've beaten 2 of the 4 teams in championship weekend. We've only played one of the teams, so I really can't speak to them. We haven't had a chance to beat 2 of the teams, I guess. But anyway, you know what? It's going to be a good game on Sunday, Low Lip. I look forward to it. I'm definitely not trying to disrespect your Chiefs here. They are very good. A couple of things. See, we talked about Nick Wright. The weather and the crowd noise. Does that concern you at all? We're going to be playing in front of our biggest crowd all year. There could be a little bit of precipitation. The Bills really haven't, other than Tennessee and Miami, had to play in front of a crowd this year, is having to possibly go to a hard count. Is that something that concerns you?
Not yet. Not really. I mean, I think that, the Chiefs fans will be ready. They'll be loud. Like, we know Arrowhead's a good environment, like a tough environment. But I don't know that, the weather being like what we just went through, like with the wind and everything. Like, the wind to me is really what I care about. I don't know what the early forecast is. If it's snow, like what? I mean, is that what they're saying? There's going to be snow.
I believe what they're saying is rain and like high 30s.
Okay, but I mean, rain you can deal with, I guess, a little bit as long as it's not windy, and it's raining a little bit. I don't think it'll be that bad. I think, you know, both of these offenses are big passing offenses, and so I don't think rain. I mean, I think rain will be equally as you know, it'll affect both teams equally. I
Yeah,
don't think
and
it's
we
gonna
got
be
Lolo coming in like, yeah, that stadium looked packed. I didn't know the exact number, but he says 25K, and that makes sense because it looked like they were sitting like every 2 seats in the whole stadium. Like it was full. So 25K fans, that is definitely something to be concerning. And Chris Jenke said they're everyone's gonna be picking the Chiefs this week. So the Bills always seem to play a little bit looser. They seem to play a little bit more confidently when all the pressure is on the other team. But you know, we say that as fans, like there's no pressure on us, right? Everyone expects the Chiefs to win, but there's got to be some sense of pressure on these players, right? We're a game away from the Super Bowl. So is maybe that storyline where all the pressure's on Kansas City, is that maybe a little overrated?
I think it's more overrated than it probably. I mean, I still think there's more pressure on Kansas City, but I do think that maybe it's a little overrated. I do think that the Bills feel like for these players, for this organization, for the history of this team, like it's not a guarantee that you're going to make it to the AFC Championship game every year. It's very difficult. We talked about all the good quarterbacks in the AFC. You know, I was typing out a tweet the other day with like, oh, look at all these like good young quarterbacks. And like, I almost typed out every single freaking quarterback in the AFC, man. I mean, it was like ridiculous. Like you think about it, we talk about Mahomes and Lamar and Josh and Baker, but then you got Herbert, you got Burrow, you got Derek Carr still, Deshaun Watson still in the AFC. You got Trevor Lawrence likely coming in. You got Tannehill. Like there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the AFC. Drew Lock maybe not there yet, but he's an up and come. Like so, there's still the AFC has a lot of young talent at the quarterback position. I mean, Ben's on his sunset obviously, and there's a couple others, but like there's a lot of good quarterbacks going to be here for a long time. So getting this far, you can't take it for granted. You can't take it. I mean, he could be. Yeah, he could be. You can't take it for granted. So maybe there is this feeling that like, let's just win it this year. And then like it's gravy train from here on out.
All right. Here's a fun little question. And speaking of getting ahead of ourselves, here's a fun little question for you. And I want people in the comment section to answer this question as well. And I think the Chiefs fan in the comment section is definitely going to flame us a little bit for getting ahead of ourselves. But somebody asked this question today on Twitter, and it kind of stuck out to me. Madden cover. As much as we don't want to talk about a Madden jinx, somebody said, hey, I think that Josh Allen make a good Madden cover player next year. I'm thinking maybe Stephon Diggs will make a good Madden cover player next year. So a little bit of a fun, lighthearted question as we end the show here. What do you guys think would make a better Madden cover, Stephon Diggs or Josh Allen? I think I might want Diggs. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, the trend's been quarterbacks, right? Was it the last?
That's why I think I might want it to be Diggs. I might want it to be Diggs because the trend is always quarterback.
Yeah, was it Antonio Brown was on the cover a couple of years ago? He was the last non-quarterback, and I think Gronk might have been on it like a couple of years prior to that. But it's been like Lamar and Pat and Brady, like so. Maybe both.
Doing that little. There's a couple of good pictures on the internet. I've used them before.
I like that idea.
Doing that handshake and stuff, like coming together and doing that handshake. That would be
I like that idea. I like both. That is it. Rashid, man. We love you tonight, man. We really do. Like, I know we've disagreed on a few things.
We can tell that you're struggling, Rashid, and we are here for you.
We know we've disagreed on a few things, and we know you don't like Jerry Hughes, but you've been bringing it all night, so we're gonna keep putting you up there. Casey, who we thought we were, we just can't let them off the hook. All right, Denny Green quote right there. Josh can be better than Patrick. I don't know what.
I think he wants Hughes on the cover. He wants Jerry Hughes on the cover.
And he's come full circle.
If Madden's going to curse anyone, he wants it to be the guy he thinks
wants Jerry Hughes to be cursed.
Trying to help his argument. He's trying to help his argument. Yeah, Madden does suck now, by the way. And here's the thing, too. Like, there was like one of the Madden developers actually, I think, got fired or suspended because he came out and said it fucking blows and it's not our fault. They're not letting us do cool things. But
exactly. 2K needs to get back in the mix to at least create some competition. I know that they got something where they can create non-simulation style football games, but until they get a competition on the simulation style, it's not going to change.
We got Billy coming in. Billy coming with the super chat. We appreciate it, and we appreciate everyone in the chat. And that's why we got one more take me higher for you guys tonight, and that is Buffalo Bills fans. Bills fans, 6,700 of them strong in the stadium on Saturday. How did they help the Buffalo Bills take themselves higher?
Well, I mean, you saw the Ravens had to go to a silent count a few times, a couple false starts there. I mean, what a difference it made. And really in a game where we kind of needed that help on defense because the offense was struggling a little bit early on, man, they really made a difference. And I'm happy for everyone who's been able to go to these 2 playoff games. It's really, I know it's been like a long wait and a long season, and I'm really just hoping that next year we get a full house back in there, and that, Diggs and like those people who really haven't had the full experience really get that. So kudos to the Bills fans for making it seem like 6,700 was 67,000.
Yeah, we have someone. Where is Rashid says the crying fan should be a meme. That guy after the first game, that was incredible. He was found on Twitter, so he's around. Maybe I should get in contact with him and see if we can bring him on the show. That might be something we might try to do. And Billy coming in again, since you just shot us a super chat without a comment, I'm going to read this one. He says, Mahomes is banged up. Allen playing his best football. We have the leading receiver in the league, not to mention the fact that our defense has really stepped the F up. You can swear here, Billy. It's okay. It's a safe environment. Who can beat us? So that seems like a good ending spot for tonight as we get ready for Thursday. Join us on Thursday. I'm trying to get Luke Russert. That's the plan. But if not, I will try to cook up something special and get a special guest for Thursday as we preview the Chiefs and we start to get into the nitty gritty of this football game on Sunday night. I am pumped up. I'm barely going to sleep this week. So it should.
If you need sleep, just put Elf on, man.
Just what?
If you need sleep, just put Elf on. Repeat.
Yeah. Lola McGee comes in and says, Josh Allen has been good in the playoffs. Let's be real. He was pretty good in that Colts game. I'm not going to lie to you. He carried the football team against one of the better defenses in the AFC. And then, he had a so-so game against Baltimore, but the weather wasn't the greatest. Like Chris Collinsworth even said, Wink Martindale was covering the first level, covering the second level, and letting the wind be the defender on the third level. So it was really tough. He was really only giving him stuff deep, and it was really hard to complete those passes deep. I think even a guy like Patrick Mahomes would have struggled in that wind. So he still had himself a pretty solid game, still scored when it mattered. And the Chiefs defense is not as good as the Colts, and it's not as good as the Ravens. So as much as I respect you, Lola McGee, and as much as your defense has had some decent games this year, your defense doesn't scare me. Tyrann Mathieu and Chris Jones scares me. The rest of your defense does not. So that's something we're definitely going to talk about on Thursday. I'm not saying I don't respect your defense, but they certainly don't scare me like other defenses. And I think a guy like Josh Allen, if the climate permits, can have himself a day on that defense. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for tonight. It has been a pleasure. As always, you guys are the best in the biz. We would be nothing without you, the third host of this show. Every single one of you in the comment section going for the whole hour and a half with us. Can't tell you how much we appreciate it. So thank you guys, and I hope to see you on Thursday. Nothing, Dave?
Oh, sorry. I was typing in the thing because we needed 4 more likes to get to 200. So I was like, 4 more likes to get to 200. Please smash them on me. That's my bad. That was a big timing on my side. Maybe for sympathy, smash those likes on the way out. And obviously, I mean, I think I got thrown off because we didn't do the Go Bills. So until next time,
Go Bills. Yeah.
Until next time, go Bills.
Go Bills.